You may have already noticed, but gas prices are continuing to climb, and it comes as the conflict between Israel and Iran intensifies. ABC24 Scott Mattis sat down with Gas Buddy to talk more about this hike.
So we're talking about gas prices. Obviously, we're here in Memphis, Tennessee, where gas prices are pretty moderate when compared to prices across the country, but there's a major conflict in the Middle East right now. How do you foresee that affecting gas prices in the United States and then specifically Western Tennessee?
Well, after a fairly calm start to the summer driving season, we've already started to see gas prices ticking up a little bit. Memphis up about 7 cents a gallon in the last week. The average still below $3 at 2.78 a gallon. Oil prices had already been going up prior to the situation in the Middle East. But last Friday, after Israel launched attacks, oil prices surged nearly 8%. That's likely to lead to further increases in gas prices in the days and weeks ahead. Memphis prices could shoot up another 10 to 15 cents a gallon for gasoline and 15 to 25 cents a gallon for diesel over the next week or so.
That's incredible to hear, and I know a lot of people are already feeling that quite literally at the pump, and this coincides with the beginning of summer and the summer travel season.
Yeah, absolutely. Millions of Americans starting to hit the road as summer vacations start. And unfortunately, they're going to have to be digging a little bit deeper, at least for the next few weeks. Now, there is the possibility that if there's de-escalation in the situation in the Middle East, we could see a bit of an about face in gas prices, but that may be a couple of weeks away from happening. If there is de-escalation, it may take a couple of weeks, but gas prices would then slowly stop their increase and could maybe beyond July 4 start decreasing. But until then, we could get closer to that $3 a gallon average. Memphis could see prices well into the 280s, maybe the 290s. And if there's any other issues that happen at the same time, things like hurricanes or refining disruptions, we could hit that $3 a gallon mark temporarily.
Absolutely, and kind of springboarding off of that, about a year ago to date, gas prices here in the Memphis metropolitan area were very close to $3 a gallon, but then steadily went down. This is going to affect a lot of Americans and a lot of Memphians.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of Americans are going to be digging deeper. As you point out, the national average still is a little bit lower than last year, but we're going to start closing the gap with the big surge in oil prices over the last few days. We are going to start seeing more of those stations back above the $3 a gallon mark. As you point out, Memphis a year ago was just below $3 a gallon. We're going to see gas prices now over the next week or so going up to close that gap. There is the possibility that we could temporarily see that $3 mark, but I would be hopeful that if things do de-escalate in the weeks ahead, we still could see gas prices start falling potentially as we get into July.
Okay, that's excellent information, Patrick. So I don't know if you can speak to this with education. I know I can't, but there's a lot of people who talk about the times and the days that you fill up. Does it really matter when you fill up your tank as far as prices go, or is it just you get what you get as far as the dollars and cents?
Well, it is a little bit of luck. And now that we have a conflict in the Middle East, it reverts from a day of the week to sooner rather than later. Now, if the conflict de-escalates, then it's later rather than sooner is ideal. Usually in a steady market where all things are equal day in and day out, typically early in the week is the best time to fill up. The market generally reopens on Monday for the week, the energy markets, that is, and prices can become a little bit more volatile later in the week. That's because of a key government report that comes out Wednesday that can push prices up going into the weekend. But now with a major conflict generally continuously putting upward pressure on prices, if you need to fill your tank up, if you're planning to hit the road, you may want to fill up sooner rather than later.
And if you can speak to this also, what is the difference in the price discrepancies between, let's say, Memphis and Knoxville, Tennessee, or Memphis and Little Rock? Why do the prices differentiate so much?
Well, between states, almost every state collects a different amount for gasoline taxes. But if you're within the same state, Memphis generally sees some of the lowest prices in the state. Of course, you have a major refinery directly in Memphis. That gasoline has having to travel a further way to markets like Knoxville. You also can see higher prices as you closer to the Smoky Mountains. A little bit more tourism happening there that can enhance prices a bit. But generally speaking, in a region, you have state gasoline taxes that may vary between areas of Tennessee and areas of Arkansas. But then how far of a distance that gasoline has to travel can impact the price as well.
Okay, excellent information, Patrick. Any last words you'd like to add for the people here in the Memphis metro?
Anyone looking to save on fuel, there's apps like Google Maps or Gas Buddy that can show you where those lower prices tend to be. You may want to use those as we get closer to July 4, especially if you're crossing state lines. There can be a huge disparity in between prices, as you mentioned, between areas like Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia. As soon as you head south from Chattanooga into Georgia, prices generally do jump up 20 to 30 cents a gallon. Using an app like Google Maps or Gas Buddy can show you where those lower prices are. The other way, try to increase your fuel efficiency. Setting cruise control can help reduce essentially the price you pay at the pump.
Excellent information. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
All right. My pleasure, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Okay, take care.
All right, Scott Mattis is live with us in studio. That was a really good interview. A lot of information
It
there.
was interesting. He had a lot of good information. And you know what, Yvonne? A lot has happened. I taped that on Friday. A lot happened over the weekend in regards to the conflict in Iran and Israel. So now we're expecting prices to go up even more. He mentioned 8% per barrel higher. It's now at 11%.
Wow.
And it could potentially get up to 20% higher. Yeah, and so if you want real numbers for that, if it got up that high, we're talking about possibly 20 to 30 cents more per gallon of gas. It doesn't sound like a lot initially, but it adds up.
It does.
Right?
And could we expect that increase in a matter of days, weeks, or months? What do you think?
I think we could expect that probably in the next week or so. Yeah, it's really bizarre. I know we have a website that if we can pop this up real quick, we're talking about very specific prices. We've got some of the cheapest gas around. Valero off Perkins is at $2.56. Mapco off Navy Road up in Millington is at $2.57. Sam's Club, Murphy, USA, the list goes on, right around $2.60, Yvonne. And so I also want to come back and talk about the current average prices here in the Memphis area in the Mid-South. Right now it's at $2.86. To put that in perspective, yesterday it was $2.85. So you can see very slowly it's going up. 1 week ago it was at $2.74. So it's going up slowly but surely. But again, to put things back into perspective, 1 year ago from right now, just take a wild guess what it was.
250 something, maybe 260 something.
Just a hair over $3 a gallon.
Oh wow. Okay, I'm way off.
Right, and you know, if you were listening to, talking to the viewers, if you were listening to that interview that we just did, you know, there are price discrepancies all over the country. You're going to pay, you know, potentially $10 a gallon if you're in downtown Chicago. So consider us incredibly lucky.
Yes, because it could be way worse, or in like places like Los Angeles or New York.
Absolutely. That's when you buy a bicycle.
At that point, yes. Buy a bike,
Right.
get a bus pass, take the subway, whatever you can
Exactly.
to save a little bit.
Absolutely.
But this is a lot of helpful information for families that are going to be doing all of that summer traveling in the next couple of weeks.
100%. And, you know, like the gentleman was talking about, put air in your tires, use cruise control. Neither of us like using cruise control because we're not in control of a missile driving down the road. What was, I've got to ask you, what was the last price you paid for gas?
Well, I got to keep it honest here. We tell the truth right here on ABC24 and 24 Plus. I can't tell you, Scott. I don't pump my own gas. I save that and leave that to my hubby. So I don't really know what it cost him. I like it that way. I like to keep it that way.
I knew that was going to be the answer. I paid $2.79.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's anything under $3 a gallon on my my V8 that doesn't get the greatest gas mileage, I'm happy about.
Hey, hopefully they won't inch up too high where we cannot afford it. So
exactly.
We'll keep an eye on it. Scott, this was great. Thank you.
It was fun. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely.